Do you ever feel like in this world that we live in right now, there are so many options? You see all of these young entrepreneurs, you see all these people doing all this different stuff that you question what you're doing and you think, is this the right thing? And then all of a sudden, it feels like there's too many options and you can't make a decision. Well, if you resonate with that, stick with this video because I want to share an interesting story and also a little bit about how I overcome some of these things because I've gone through a lot of this stuff myself, as I do quite regularly as a young entrepreneur in a city like Dubai. Definitely gets overwhelming and it certainly feels like there's a lot of options in life. Let's get into it. First of all, I want to talk about my friend. He's just left my house. He's 28 years old and I'm helping him. He's potentially coming on my retreat. He wants to do some deep inner work. Ex-army, great guy, great shape, but lost as a lamb. Doesn't have a clue where he's going in his life. You know, jumping from company to company in this industry, then in another industry, takes a salary, then goes into commission-based, kind of wants to go there, move to Thailand. The problem that he faces is that there's a lot of noise in this world. He thinks that I need to find the lowest hanging fruit to prove to myself that I can do something. And then he goes into an industry and doesn't give it long enough or doesn't have a passion in it. And because of the result of that means that now, whatever he went into, he didn't get the short hit of dopamine. He didn't get that instant result and then just assumes that that industry doesn't work. And then he jumps to something else. But then before he makes that decision, because I can already see this is happening in his head when I talk to him, he's very stressed, he moves around a lot. Before he made that decision, he's like, oh, but should I just do this? But what about this? What do you think about this? And I say to him, just calm down. And, you know, something that I've very quickly realized is that as human beings now, we have lost the art of deep thinking and imagination. I'm not saying that's for everyone, of course not. But generally we have. Why? Because we're exposed to so much cheap dopamine. We're exposed to all of this short, instantaneous hits from all different angles. I'm on day 5 now, no caffeine. And I've witnessed myself completely change. You know, I'm someone who is an avid caffeine drinker. Seriously, 3 cups of coffee, pre-workout before the gym. Sometimes I have a coffee at 5 o'clock. Like, you know, sometimes I can have a coffee at 7 and still sleep at 9. But what I'm trying to say is that my reliance on that caffeine caused me to be erratic, always moving, always like, you know, feeling like I use the excuse of I've got ADHD. Now, that takes away from me being able to think deeply, which drives me back into what I really want to do. Okay? So, first of all, you need to get clear on your direction. You need to get clear on your direction and think to yourself, what is it I truly like doing? Why am I passionate in my life? What do I actually want to achieve? And look back in 30, 40 years, or when I'm 60, 70 years old and say, I'm glad I did more of that and I didn't just sit around waiting, okay? You know what it is for me? First of all, it's doing hard exploration trips, okay? I want to climb mountains. I want to do more hard things. I want to, you know, learn how to sail. I want to learn how to, you know, be more adaptable in the woods, build more fires, go camping more. And I know I'm working towards this. I also love helping people. So I love the nature. I love the outdoors. I also love helping people. I love seeing transformation. Okay. I love seeing that. Well, my friend was around here before. He texted me saying, Joe, I need your help. Let's sit down. I said, come around, grab a coffee. I'll have a tea. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm helping him now. I'm going to bring him on my retreat. I'm going to do a deep ceremony experience with him. And hopefully he's going to transform. Already on Friday, we're going to meet. We're going to do some deep meditation, some breath work. We're going to try and start unlocking little things. I've told him what he needs to start doing, including cutting out that cheap dopamine before he starts thinking deeply. So once you start getting deep on that, you need to start picking out little things. Well, okay, that's what I want to do. What am I good at? I'm good at speaking to people, okay? I'm good at fitness, okay? I'm fit. You know, I know personally, like I love making videos. I have good personal brand like experience, you know, I know how to present myself on camera. How do we relate all these? And then I thought to myself, well, okay, now I know all this. I know how, like, this is the big goal, like doing all the exploration trips, doing these retreats, you know. Well, what's the first thing I did? I set my first retreat up. This was a medicine ceremonial experience retreat. And the second one we're doing is in Austria in a month. but that one's going to be a bit more in the wild, which I'm excited about. And then the next one after that, I'm going to do a purely fitness and breath work and meditation based one. And you know, I was working in real estate, so I just went for it. I just set something up and I just went for it. So I didn't have a clue how to do it. I just used my Instagram, promoted it, told a few people about what I'm doing, and got 10 people there, 10 strangers. Never hosted a retreat in my life. Okay? So then it was like, all right, I know I'm working towards something. But then, of course, there were even lower hanging fruits. I knew I needed to get people on that retreat. Okay? So I had to shoot content. So what did I do? I picked up the camera. I started making content, talking about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I documented a bit of my experience in Mexico. These were all low-hanging fruits to get my sort of midterm goal, which was the smaller retreats, into my longer-term goal, which is my bigger retreats. One thing I say to people is getting clear on your values. All of these options out here, getting into AI, getting into real estate, getting into tech, building an app, website design, all of this is good, but if you're only thinking of it from a monetary money value point of view, so if the only objective is money, I guarantee you, once you make a bit of money out of that, if you've got zero passion or desire to be in that industry, then that dream and that hope of that being a long-term vision will quickly fade out. So once you get clear on what you like, then get clear on your passion, and then figure out why and what values you have for yourself that you want to relate to your work, then the answers should start becoming a bit clearer. Once you've got all of those, then it's like, what is the outcome? What is the dream life? What is it you want to get from this? What is your why? What is your purpose? That is the biggest question that you have to face. And it's one that you don't necessarily have to have the answer to right now, but just have a bit of an understanding, like, why is it you want to get into it? For example, why is it you want to make money? If the money is driven by supercars, it's driven by nice things. You've seen people online, nice clothes, nice watches. Okay, that's fine. I will tell you this. Once you make the money and you get those things, at some point, that why will start to lose its flame. It will lose its fire. But maybe you've got parents that are getting old. They are getting into retirement age, but they're probably not going to be able to retire until they're 80, and that is your lifelong mission. Maybe you want to set your own family up and be completely financially free and buy a farm or whatever. That's your why. Then what that does, all of these other parts are components, and this is like the ignition. Okay, this is the ignition, because now this is going to make you want to work and want to work harder. But when you just surround yourself with all of these options, you jump from industry to industry, okay, and you get confused and you get overwhelmed, then unfortunately, it's just going to become a mental rat race with yourself. You're going to feel overwhelmed and unhappy, okay? You're going to lie in bed and you're going to think, oh, I could do this, and you're just going to end up doing things like cheap dopamine, scrolling, nicotine, caffeine, all these other things. Now, I help people through breathwork, meditation, ceremonial experiences, and I'd love to help you out if this is something that you think that you're struggling with, gaining clarity, purpose, direction, okay? But firstly, I've got a link to my retreats below. There's also an email if you want to contact me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this one.